We're now going to take some time to go into depth into each of these 8 different preferences. Now, as we go through these, I want you to write down, or maybe you want to print off a copy of each of these slides and put a check mark by each thing that you feel is more like you. Now, this is going to give you your best guesstimate. I've also attached a handout that's going to help you to do your best guesstimate, but as you do this, I want you to think about it, because it's really important for you to get this correct and to really be part of this best fit. And we'll talk a little bit more about a best fit as well. Now, the other part of this is that I really do endorse going and seeing an MBTI personal certified specialist, because you're going to get a lot more feedback than you will from a very non-personal video. In either case, though, let's go forward and let's look at these preferences. So first, you want to think about where you get your energy. Now remember, energy. An extroverted person is someone who's going to focus on that outer world. They love activity. They get their energy and attention outward, and they receive their energy from being outward, maybe from interacting with other people. So they might be attuned to their external world. They love to talk. They process verbally. They're going to work out their ideas verbally talking. They also are going to learn best when they are doing something or discussing something. They tend to have a lot of interests. They are very sociable and expressive, and they really are going to take some initiative when it comes to work and to relationships. On the other end of our spectrum, we have our introversion. So the introvert is someone who focuses on that inner world, reflection, ideas, experiences, even emotions. And they're going to direct their energy and attention inward and receive energy from reflecting on those thoughts, their memories, and again, those feelings. So some of their characteristics are going to be associated with that inner world. They're going to prefer to communicate through writing. This is an important thing to remember when you're working with an introvert. They also like to work out any ideas or options by reflection. They need space, quiet, and time. We call that mental space, in order to reflect and to work on things. They really like to focus in depth on their interests, and they're very private. They tend almost to be contained. Now remember, don't confuse shy with introversion, because introverts are not necessarily shy. Also, they're going to take an initiative in a situation, but only if it's very important to them or it has a value to them. Now, sensing and intuition refers to how we learn. How do we take our information in? Sensing people like to take in information that's real and tangible. They want to know what is really happening, and they're observant about the specifics of what's going on around them. And especially they're attuned to the realities of life. I like to think of them as being present oriented, that they are the here and now kind of people, because they love facts, those concrete facts that are tangible. They like to focus on the realities, the practicalities. They're pragmatic. They observe, they're going to remember specifics, and they really are going to very carefully pull together all the information that they can in order to come to a good conclusion. They really do prefer to have practical applications, and they can do ideas and theories, but as long as it does have a practical application. And when they are taking in information, they're going to trust experience from themselves and experience from others. Now, intuition. These are people who like to see the big picture. They focus on relationships, patterns, connections, and as well as facts. They want to grasp those patterns, and they really are excited about possibilities. So as I said, that sensing is present oriented. The intuition is future oriented. They are always excited about what is coming next. They're imaginative, they're creative, they're innovative. They like to focus on patterns within data. Now, the interesting thing is that they're very quick to remember things, and especially specifics and details as it relates to any kind of pattern. They're going to be able to move quickly to conclusions, and they will follow their hunches very fast. But they really need to have clarity, and they need to completely understand things before they're going to do any kind of practice. Now, whereas the sensing people refer to really rely upon experience, the intuition prefers to rely upon inspiration. Now, thinking and feeling is more about how do we make our decisions. And this is a process of how we govern and really evaluate the information that is coming to us. So thinking people are going to look at logical consequences. They want choices, they want actions, and they want to be able to remove themselves from a situation to really be able to objectively look at what the decision is going to cause. What will be the results? These are your pros and cons people, and they have a goal to find a principle or a standard that will work across the board for all decisions in similar situations. Now, your feeling people are really more involved in what's important to them and to others. They are going to be really interested in how a decision is going to impact those around them. And they're going to make decisions based on their values. They honor people. They honor traditions. They're energized by appreciating people. They support others. And they look for qualities to praise. I love that. This is one of my favorite things to say to people. If you want to remember the feeling preference, the greatest word you can remember is harmony. A feeling preference is about harmony. So as the thinking person is moving forward to make decisions, our thinking person is very analytical and logical. They're going to look at that cause and effect. If I do this, then this will happen. They're very logical and objective. And although they can be tough-minded, they really are fair because they want everyone to be treated equally. Now, the feeling person is empathetic, and they have a list of values. So sometimes you may feel like you may recognize you're working with a feeling person, that maybe they are not seeing things the way that you see things, and you need to step back and find out what their values are. What is it that is impacting them and impacts the decisions? They want to know that harmony is going to be achieved by making that decision. Now remember, they're compassionate, tender-hearted, and they want also what's fair, but in an individual way, because they want to realize that everybody is unique. And when people are treated in a unique way, individual way, that's when things are really fair. Our last preference deals with the outer world. And how do we deal with that outer world? So as you listen to these two descriptions, I want you to think about these. Which one are you? I can generally pick out a person who is a judging preference versus a perceiving people. It's very simple when you talk to them, and you'll be able to realize it. Now, a judging person likes to use their process in the outer world in a way that is very planned, orderly. They like to regulate. They like to manage. They like to organize. They like closure. They like to move on. They're structured. They have goals. I like to describe them as that person with a plan or a to-do list. Right? Does that make sense? Do you know somebody like that? When I read this particular description, I immediately can think of several people. Now, perceiving. They are the opposite, and they are at the complete opposite end of the spectrum because they're flexible, spontaneous. They love experience. They are very present-oriented. They want to enjoy life. They don't want detailed plans. They don't want schedules because they find them confining. Now, can you think of people like that? As I said, you can generally pick out people who are at one spectrum or the other. So let's look at these characteristics. Judging are scheduled, organized, systematic, methodical, planned. They like to have things decided, and they do not like last-minute stress. Perceiving people tend to be spontaneous, flexible, casual, open-ended. They're adaptable. They love change. They like things loose and open. And those last-minute pressures, those are actually energizing to them.